I have been indoors for, what is today, Thursday? 5 days. And this is a little insane because when I was working from home and when I was at my peak antisocial, I was like, great, I don't have to go outside, love it. But now that it's not a good idea to go outside, now that social distancing is such an imperative thing to do, I'm just like, I would love to go take a walk. I want to start dancing in the streets. I want to do this. I want to go to that restaurant. I think a lot of it is idealistic, but I definitely, I'm sure other people out there feel the same way. When you can't do something, there's like this little thing in your head that's like, I want to do it now. But anyway, social distancing is still very, very important, so I'm staying indoors as much as I can. So today, what I actually want to talk about is what I think makes for an easy rough draft. So here's what, that was a weird way to say that, but here's what that means. So I have a really hard time writing rough drafts, and a lot of times it's because, not to brag, but I'm like a little bit thoughtful about how I write, which can also be interpreted as very anxious about writing something that doesn't unnecessarily insult or offend people. I think I actually might still care too much about what other people think, something I'm working on, but I definitely feel like if I can avoid saying something the wrong way, I would rather do that if it requires a little bit of extra care. The problem with this approach is it can definitely slow you down when you're writing a rough draft, because if you're just like, word number 2, it's so hard to get through even a 3-minute post. So instead, I have opted to use voice memos. And the good thing about voice memos is they allow me to get up in the morning in my moo-moo, trips to the kitchen, and while I am pouring my coffee, I can just start talking to my phone about a specific topic. Now, I do like stream of consciousness, journal entries and voice memos, but I don't really find that they help me so much, because then I just go on about something for 10 minutes and then when I get down to transcribe it, I'm just like slowing things down at 60% of playback speed and being like, why did I talk so much about this thing that doesn't matter? So I have a specific approach when I do use voice memos. I try to be as organized as I can when I'm recording. So it's more like the skeleton is organized, but the words are all over the place, and it gives me that buffer that conversations give to you. Like the amount of mistakes that I've made so far in this video when talking, it's easier to do that. You know, when you're talking, you don't necessarily want to write that way. I don't think people love writing that is as all over the place as even the best kind of conversation happens to be sometimes. So it's really cool to use voice memos. I highly suggest it, especially for people who, like me, are very like anxiety riddled when it comes to writing something. I think it could have been a game changer if I had embraced it a little bit earlier. Maybe even if I started off that way, where I was just, you know, walking around, like holding my phone up here and talking to it about things, I think I would have had a backlog of ideas that I could have molded into a draft and then created a final draft from there. So here's why this is important to wrap it up. So it's basically like this. You don't want to have long periods of time between the content that you're outputting, because the world is kind of like a content machine. It's just like consuming content. And if you're starting out and you're developing a name for yourself, you're going to want consistency. One of the best ways to develop, I don't want to say a brand, so let me go back. One of the ways to start getting to be known in the world as a writer is to put out that content on a regular basis. And to do that, if you have anxiety, using voice memos is a good way to get over that hurdle. So that's all I want to say about voice memos, and I think in the true spirit of things, this has been a very sloppy conversation on my part, which I'm going to turn it around and make it into a teachable moment that this is exactly why it's so great to use voice memos. Because if this was something I was going to write about, which it is, I could just play it back at a slower speed, write out my rough draft, and then edit it. And then it's beautiful. Or I think it's beautiful. Hopefully other people do. I don't know. Okay, I think I'm too quick on the goodbyes, so I'm just gonna be like, anyway, that's my video. I hope you're staying safe out there. Bye.